Hello dear friends, I'm Marina from marsstars.net, and today we are talking about the new moon in Pisces. We're going to discuss the most important indications and basically how we can benefit from this moon, how we can use it, which activities are really beneficial during this time. The most important aspects also from the other planets, how it can influence generally our life, what we can expect. And finally, there will be a short forecast for each of the zodiac signs so that you can be more prepared. Now remember to listen to both your sun and ascendant sign. They can be really important. The ascendant sign can even show you more concrete areas and information, so definitely check that out. First of all, the general information. The new moon is on the 17th of March around 8:30 in the morning Eastern Time. The exact position of the new moon is 27 degrees in Pisces. Now, of course, Pisces is a very interesting sign. One of the main reasons is because that's the last sign in the zodiac. So more or less it includes all of the other signs and energies, and that's why this is such a deep and such a complicated also sign. It's very spiritual, very intuitive, and very compassionate. Now, first of all, let's say a few words about each new moon and how we can benefit from this. Basically, that's an exact conjunction between the sun and the moon. And this is the beginning of the new lunar cycle, which is approximately 30 days. Or a little bit less, 28, 29 days. Now, this is the first phase of the lunar cycle, which means that something new can be born, something new can be started, and the energy is much more active, especially during the first half of this period, basically from this new moon until the next full moon. Those 2 weeks are the more active days during this lunar cycle, and that's why it's very beneficial for starting new things, because you can be more active, you can feel more energized, and even the circumstances might be more beneficial to start something new. Of course, the sign is also very important. In this case, we're talking about Pisces, and it's a great time to start anything related to spirituality. It could be some kind of practice for meditation, it could be some kind of healing therapy, it might be psychotherapy, or maybe some kind of training which will help you to manage better your emotions. Now, when it comes to emotions, Pisces is one of the most important signs. This is one of the most sensitive and emotional signs. So anything which has to do with your emotions, like maybe becoming more clear about how you feel, or healing some kind of painful emotions, or connecting with others, and those types of connections, they are very deep, they are also very spiritual. So anything which has to do with one of those things is great. And another thing which we can use the new moon for is also to define some new dreams and goals. There are many rituals which you can use, and during the exact new moon you can meditate, you can sit down and just write down your dreams, what you would like to achieve. The magic of the new moon can absolutely help you and support you to manifest your desires. So that's literally a magical time, and you might be very in touch with your emotions. Now, keep in mind that when we have a conjunction between the sun and the moon, this may also be a time when we are more subjective. Basically, we cannot be able to see things from the outside. So, especially with this combination, the strong Pisces energy, people might be extremely vulnerable, people might be extremely sensitive. So keep that in mind. But at the same time, if this is something which is important to you, now is a great time to focus on some concrete activities, like we already said, the meditations or spiritual practices or some kind of healing therapy. All of those things are very beneficial. Now, the next thing I would like to discuss is also the rulership of this degree. Now, one of the systems which I'm using is the Egyptian system for classification of the degrees. And basically we have a planet which rules each concrete degree of the zodiac. Now, if you would like me to provide you more information about this, please share this in the comments, and I can record a video where I will explain in depth how you can use this system. But in this case, what we are interested in is that the moon is the ruler of this degree, basically the 27th degree of Pisces. This degree is ruled by the moon. So it adds even more emotion to this situation, and this is very important for all kinds of things related to our childhood, or with our own children, or with our families, and of course emotions. So basically the rulership of the moon on this exact degree makes the situation even more intense on an emotional level, and you can be more successful in starting new things in terms of family, in terms of home, or property issues, or maybe your children, or maybe just something which will help you to balance your emotions better. Now let me see the next thing we need to discuss. That's actually the aspects that we have between the other planet and the new moon. Now, the first aspect, which is actually the most challenging, is the square between Mars and the new moon. Now, Mars is at the very last 30th critical degree in Sagittarius, which means that Mars is quite weak on this new moon. Mars is in a fire sign. That's beneficial because Mars is a fire planet, but the fact that it's in the last degree makes the influence, weaker. However, when we talk about the challenging influence of Mars, there is always the risk for some kind of aggression or confrontations or lack of harmony or impulsiveness and a strong desire to take immediate action, which sometimes may not be very adequate. So keep that in mind. Try to balance your desires, try to balance your energy, and don't rush things too much. Even if you push them, probably it's not gonna work so well, because not only Mars squares the new moon, but it's also very weak. So I think that this is a great time actually to get in touch more with our desires, maybe to handle with some anger issues, or maybe some desires which are unsatisfied, and to find out what we need to change in our actions. The squares are aspects which require changes, efforts, action. But when Mars is so complicated position, it means that we have to reassess our desires and our dreams and our needs. Also, don't forget that Mercury will be retrograde from the 23rd degree of March. If you haven't watched my video, you can find that in the description below. I will add it there so you can learn more about Mercury retrograde. But generally, as we know, this is the time when we need to be more careful with the new projects. So if you're really willing to start something new, then try to make it before Mercury retrograde, before the 23rd of March. Or just keep in mind that something may need to be changed during the process, or something may not be so temporary, so long-lasting, as you would like that to be. Okay, so next we have actually some great news, because Jupiter, the great benefactor, the great support, the most positive planet in astrology, is making supportive aspect with this new moon. Basically, there is a trine. That's a very, very beneficial combination, which means that we can really expand something. We can be successful in the things that we would like to start, and we can dream in big scale. We can learn a lot of things, because don't forget, Jupiter is also the planet of education. And especially when it comes to something spiritual, something which, will open up your mind or, your worldview, this is something really, really positive. Doing what you want, attracting attention, changing your behavior, changing your appearance, basically anything in terms of personal life, personal decisions. So you can feel also more energized, you can feel ready actually to take some concrete actions. So definitely use this time. So that's the most important about this new moon. Don't forget, if you would like to have a personal report, you can find the link in the description below. And you can also share actually what do you expect from this new moon. For example, in my horoscope, this new moon will make conjunction with my moon, Mars, MC and Jupiter. So actually I expect this to be a very important time for me, and I'm concentrated extremely on my work, on new education, on setting some new goals. So actually I feel very energized, and I'm expecting this and ready to start new projects in terms of so many different areas of my life, because there are many planets which are affected. So share, guys, how do you feel and what will be triggered by this new moon in your chart. That's all for now. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you very soon. So generally, Jupiter supports us and brings success and brings increased motivation and basically support on different levels. The next aspect that we have is a binonagon with Saturn. Now, this is one of the more interesting aspects, very specific. The binonagon is one of the karmic aspects. If you haven't watched my webinar on the types of aspects, I will put that link in the description below, so you can learn more if you would like to join the webinar. But basically what we should know, the most important about the karmic aspects, is that they bring intense situations. They bring changes which are generally unexpected, sometimes quite stressful, but they affect us for a limited time. So with Saturn, this might be kind of a challenge, because we know that Saturn is the planet which can restrict us, which can bring some kind of obstacles we need to overcome. So those type of situations might be quite unexpected. So prepare yourself that you may need to be very hard working, and you may need to be also a little bit more grounded. Something which might be kind of a problem when we have such a strong Pisces energy, because Pisces is all about dreaming. It's all about fantasies and inspiration, and sometimes, you know, just flying in the skies. When Saturn makes this challenging aspect, more or less it requires from us to stay in touch with reality, to keep our feet here on the ground. So don't forget also about this. And next we have another interesting aspect, which is a semi-sextile between Uranus and the new moon. This is also a minor aspect, but supportive at the same time. And Uranus is the planet of changes. So if you would like to change something, if you would like to do something new, something more original, something more untraditional, then definitely go for it. And this is also the left type of semi-sextile, which is marking in some way completing of certain phase or certain period, or maybe some kind of activity. So you can also have the opportunity to finish some kind of projects. And finally we have Pluto, which will make sextile with the Sun and the Moon. Pluto is one of the most powerful planets, and especially when it makes a positive aspect, it can absolutely empower us, and it can bring incredible confidence and desire to transform something. We may feel more capable of also affecting other people, influencing them, convincing them, and generally for your confidence this is a great aspect, and also very helpful if you would like to change something dramatically, something completely. Very, very supportive. Okay, so now let me give you the exact positions of this new moon for each of the signs. Now don't forget, you can also order a personal report where I will analyze concretely in your horoscope how the new moon will influence you, where exactly it is falling, what kind of aspects it makes with the other planets in your chart, and how you can use it. But here is some general information which is like a starting point for all of us, and you can benefit even from this. Okay, so we are starting with Aries as usual. For Aries, the new moon will activate their 12th house. So it's absolutely a great time for spiritual activities, spiritual practices, working with your emotions, working in some way with your past, releasing the past, and also for taking a rest. 12th house is the place where you stay alone, where you're kind of isolated and you just take your time. So if you need that rest, that time to relax, this new moon is very beneficial for you. Next, for Taurus, the new moon will activate their 11th house. So that's a fantastic time to start new social projects. It could be about anything with your friends or some kind of community or some of your causes which are really important. You can start something concrete regarding this area of your life. For Gemini, the new moon will activate their 10th house, so that's a great time for new career projects. You can change something dramatically in terms of your career direction or even about your general life goals. You can even start some kind of work project or something which has to do with your reputation. For Cancer, the new moon will activate their 9th house, which is a very supportive position. Basically, there is a trine between Cancer and Pisces, and this is a fantastic time for learning new things, for education, expanding your worldview, for traveling, or just setting some new long-term goals. Next, we have Leo. For Leo, the new moon is in 8th house, one of the more interesting, sometimes even complicated positions. You can start some kind of things which will change you on an inner level, some kind of transformational processes, something related to healing, or some kind of financial decisions which are important, like investment, or something which has to do with attracting resources from other people. Sometimes we have to be prepared for some kind of critical situations whenever we talk about 8th house, so just keep that in mind. For Virgo, the new moon will activate their 7th house, which is a fantastic time for a new relationship, for reconnecting with your partner, or maybe establishing new relationships or new partnerships. It might be in terms of personal life or your business life, but generally try to connect more with other people. That's the most beneficial for you. Next, we have Libra. For Libra, the new moon activates 6th house, which is also great for some kind of new business projects, some kind of new daily routines, and anything which has to do with your health. If you need some kind of new therapy or find a new doctor, or maybe start some kind of spiritual practices which will help you to manage better your physical condition. All of those projects or initiatives can be extremely positive for you. And of course, for the business projects, now is the time when you can apply for a new job position, or maybe some people could start their own business, or maybe some kind of important projects will be started during the upcoming few weeks. Next, for Scorpio, the new moon is very supportive because it falls in 5th house, one of the most positive houses in the horoscope. That's a great time for your love life, for your romantic and personal life, for doing anything which will make you feel happier, anything which has to do with creativity, with inspiration and with passion. Also going on a new date or meeting with someone you can fall in love with, or maybe doing something together with your children. This is a fantastic time. Next, for Sagittarius, the new moon will fall in their 4th house. This is a great time to do something with your home. It could be change something in your home, or maybe find a new place where you would like to relocate. Or some people could buy property, others may do something together with their family members, but generally focus more on your private, on your personal life. Next, for Capricorn, the new moon will fall in their 3rd house. So that's a great time for learning new things, focusing on some concrete information, managing with this information, doing anything related to social media, or also for some kind of trips. It may not be something, like immigrating or relocating. This might be some kind of, pleasant trips which are for a short time. And also when it comes to ideas, you may notice that you have very, very interesting ideas which you can implement right now. Next, for Aquarius, For Aquarius, the new moon will activate their second house. So this is a great time to focus on practical material things, especially when it comes to money or your financial independence, or maybe just defining how you would like to change your attitude towards this area. And you can even start something concrete which will bring you money, which will increase your income. But the most important is to remember, focus on some practical material stuff. And finally, we have Pisces. Of course, for Pisces, this is the most important new moon. Basically, most of you guys will have also your birthday. Maybe some of you have already had your birthday recently, but one of the most important things is also to calculate your solar return chart. It can give you additional information, or maybe some of you are born, actually are having their birthday around this new moon. Then this will be a very important time when you can start different personal projects and initiatives, and anything which has to do with yourself, with doing what you want, attracting attention, changing your behavior, changing your appearance, basically anything in terms of personal life, personal decisions. So you can feel also more energized, you can feel ready actually to take some concrete actions. So definitely use this time. So that's the most important about this new moon. Don't forget, if you would like to have a personal report, you can find the link in the description below. And you can also share actually what do you expect from this new moon. For example, in my horoscope, this new moon will make conjunction with my moon, Mars, MC and Jupiter. So actually, I expect this to be a very important time for me, and I'm concentrated extremely on my work, on new education, on setting some new goals. So actually, I feel very energized and I'm expecting this and ready to start new projects in terms of so many different areas of my life, because there are many planets which are affected. So share, guys, how do you feel and what will be triggered by this new moon in your chart. That's all for now. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you very soon.